You all here on the Hill. Leland, it's yours. Have a great show.
And we come on the air with major breaking news tonight in Milwaukee and in Washington and on the campaign trail. We start in Las Vegas, where President Biden just canceled his planned campaign event and headed back home to Delaware because he has COVID. He told the press pool following him that he feels good. We've noticed the president has had a persistent cough dating back to the debate on June 27th. At that point, the White House said he just had a cold and had tested negative for COVID. The timing of this announcement could not come at a more crucial time. Just a couple of hours ago, President Biden finally revealed the one thing that he said would mean he would bow out of the presidential race.
If I had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem. But I made a serious mistake in the whole debate. And look, when I originally ran, you may remember it, I said I was going to be a transitional candidate. And I thought that I'd be able to move from this, just pass it on to someone else. But I didn't anticipate things getting so divided.
President Biden continues his fight against a growing mutiny by Democrats to kick him off the ballot. His party is warring amongst themselves. Obviously, that is a strong juxtaposition to what's happening behind me. Mr. Biden this morning faced another mutinous member, Adam Schiff of California. The likely next senator from California says he should drop out. By contrast, and you can hear the applause behind me and the roar of the crowd, Republicans could not be happier with their nominee. They could not be happier with their vice presidential nominee. And most of the speeches over the past two nights have focused on issues, not on attacking President Biden, and that's been a change. They were focused on inflation, crime, and the border. J.D. Vance, Trump's pick for vice president, will deliver his primetime speech to the party in under 2.5 hours from now. 39 years old, he's the youngest nominee since Nixon, and he represents the next generation of the MAGA movement.
It is time to get rid of the corrupt Biden-Harris regime that has broken this country, that has ruined its reputation in the world, and most importantly, has made a basic middle-class life less affordable for our citizens. Let's get rid of him, and let's bring Donald Trump back to the White House.
We have now set the table for you at 7:02 Eastern, 6:02 in Milwaukee, and welcome you to the fairest show on television, live tonight from the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. And this is the rarest of rare moments in politics. We are going to remember this summer in a way probably not since the summer of 1968 that has changed America so much. Rarely in American politics does someone have a chance to make that first impression. J.D. Vance has a massive opportunity before him tonight. This was him with Donald Trump last night. Of course, in politics, big opportunities come with great risk. Sarah Palin and Barack Obama come to mind, obviously with very different outcomes.
I was just your average hockey mom and signed up for the PTA. As you know, they say the difference between a hockey mom and a pit bull? Lipstick.
There is not a liberal America and a conservative America. There is the United States of America. There is not a black America and a white America and Latino America and Asian America. There's the United States of America.
All right, right now, to be fair, the Republican Party's energized like Barack Obama energized the Democratic Party in 2008. We know how that result ended up, both for Barack Obama and for Sarah Palin. Without even saying it as we watch these videos, these live pictures, Republicans are in lockstep unity in support of Donald Trump. Compare that to the Democratic Party. That is an utter chaos, led by a man who refuses to pass the torch. That's Joe Biden. Somebody who will have to see if she says Joe Biden's name or not. Every speech is being rewritten, including that of Nancy Mace, the congressman of South Carolina, who's on the stage right now.
My name is Don't call me Pelosi. Mace. I'm a congresswoman representing the great state of South Carolina. At the age of 17, I learned that dropping out of high school might not have been the best idea. So I took my first job at a fine dining establishment some of you may know as the Waffle House. Denny's was a little too highbrow. While Waffle House was an important part of my journey, it would not be my destination. I soon went from making waffles to making history. 25 years ago, this high school dropout became the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the military college of South Carolina. A college campus where we don't burn American flags, we salute them. I'm a single mom and a rape survivor. To women tonight who can relate, please know you have a friend and a sister in me. And I will fight like hell for you. I'm the daughter of an Army Brigadier General and a school teacher. I've admired my dad's Distinguished Service Cross from Vietnam. I've endured the rigors of a Citadel education. And today I represent a district that includes Parris Island, where we make Marines. What we're witnessing today is proof that strength preserves peace and weakness invites war. We can never project strength around the world when weakness stands in the White House. Nations like China see weakness as opportunity. China's fentanyl invades our borders. Their arms supply Putin's regime. China supports enemy states like Iran. They oppress their own people, especially their women. The world is watching America, and we must show them what we're made of. And I know a strong leader when I see one. Donald Trump stood up to China before, and he will do it again. Anyone who thinks they can take on Donald Trump or take down America is now on notice. Just as Trump quickly rose to his feet with a defiant fist in the air in Butler Township, Pennsylvania, when we re-elect him as president in November, America will soon be back on hers. We will be courageous, we will be resilient, we will be united, and we will be prepared to take on the challenges of this historic moment. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America, and God bless Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Nancy Mace with a hit on Nancy Pelosi, not Joe Biden. Ronnie Jackson here was once Donald Trump's doctor in the White House, now a congressman for Texas, an ardent attacker of Joe Biden. We'll see how much that comes up.
All right. All right, all right.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and good evening to my delegation from Texas. My name is Dr. Ronnie Jackson, and I'm the congressman from the 13th Congressional District of the great state of Texas. Prior to being in Congress, I served on active duty in the Navy for 25 years. I was a Navy deep sea diver, an emergency medicine doctor, and a combat physician in Iraq. During that time, I also had the distinct privilege of serving for 14 years as White House physician. But most importantly, I served as the appointed physician to the greatest president that this country has ever had, Donald J. Trump. And not only that, but now I can say I served a president who literally took a bullet for our country. President Trump and I have been through a lot together over the years, but I have never, ever been prouder of his leadership than I was last Saturday. His warrior spirit and his display of will to keep fighting for our country, even after getting shot down, will go down as an all-time moment in American history. I know firsthand from my time at the White House that being a president is an unrelenting 24/7 job. Time off truly just doesn't exist. Our president needs to make clear and decisive decisions in a moment's notice. When the phone rings in the middle of the night, the president must be ready. Unfortunately, our current president is not ready for that call. Let's not kid ourselves. Father Time has not been kind to Joe Biden. And China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, they do not respect Biden's 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. schedule. And we would not be in this situation were it not for Joe Biden's staff and his family. They should have compassion for him and prioritize his health and our country's security. But they have put their own interest above America's interest. Perhaps the greatest blame lies with his own Vice President, Kamala Harris. She has not been truthful with us. She has lied to us. She has put party above country, and she is as unfit in character as Joe Biden is in body and mind. Between the wide open southern border, the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, record high inflation, and the devastating crime in our streets, this administration has now produced a legacy of failure, disappointment, and danger. There is simply too much at stake to have someone who can barely shuffle to a podium be the one that is responsible for the safety and the security of our country. Every second that Joe Biden remains in the White House, this country becomes less safe. However, under President Trump's leadership, we will restore our standing on the world stage. We will bring back our great economy we had. We will finally secure our southern border. We will rebuild our great military. We will clean up crime in our streets. And most importantly, we will have a president who is respected by our allies and who is feared by our enemies and who leads with strength. Let me close by saying the path forward is simple. It is very simple and straightforward. We need to make America great again, and we need to do everything we possibly can to re-elect Donald J. Trump as our president. Thank you all. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, Ronnie Jackson just coming off the stage. The former president, President Trump's Dr. Mick Mulvaney, with us for a quick recap, former White House chief of staff. This speech, Ronnie Jackson, to a certain extent, this was not unity. This was what you'd expect at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern, not in prime time, on a Wednesday of convention night.
Yeah, this is the bulldog stuff. This is the red meat for the masses, for the base. And it's not nearly as polished as it was last night. For a lot of these folks, for Nancy, I've known Nancy, Ronnie worked in the White House with me. This is the biggest audience they've ever spoken to, and you can sort of see the difference in the polish and the energy and so forth. But it's important, again, that the delegates especially see these people. They want to know the faces from their own districts, from their own states. So this is a necessary sort of part of any convention.
All right, and then we have J.D. Vance a little bit later tonight. Obviously, his speech is going to have a very different tone, at least so we are told. Another big topic of conversation here at the convention is the assassination attempt, obviously, and there is new anger just in the past hour or so about the Secret Service, what they did in the 30 minutes, 60 minutes before Donald Trump was shot, and also some new information on the mental health of the shooter. That when we come back. All right, Matt Gaetz, strong supporter of President Trump, on the stage this evening in Milwaukee.
Inflation was low, and there were two genders. Under Biden-Harris, inflation has gotten so bad you can no longer bribe Democrat senators with cash alone. You have to use gold bars just so the bribes hold value. Oh, the swamp draining will recommence soon, and I will be President Trump's strongest ally in Congress to pass term limits, to stop taxpayer funding for political campaigns, to ban members of Congress for life from becoming lobbyists, and for the same reason you don't let the referee bet on the game, ban members of Congress from trading individual stocks. I am proud to stand before you, the only Republican in Congress who takes no lobbyist money, no PAC money. It's not good for me. I work for you, not them. President Trump, he'll never defund our police, but he will defund foreign aid to countries that hate us. And President Trump understands that if it isn't racist to check ID for a hunting license or welfare benefits or a fishing license, then it is okay to demand an ID to vote everywhere in this country in every election that's held. A Democrat congressman recently said that any criticism of Joe Biden is ableist. I don't think it's too much to ask that the American president be able to do the job. Kamala Harris isn't able to do any job. She was appointed border czar. Appointing Kamala Harris to oversee the border is like appointing Bernie Madoff to oversee your retirement plan. President Trump has shown the world what he is made of, and now we will show the world what America is made of by having his back. And how about the choice President Trump made for a running mate? JD looks like a young Abraham Lincoln, but he's from Ohio, like General Grant. And like General Grant, JD Vance knows how to fight. So they can run Biden from the nursing home, Harris, George Clooney, Robert De Niro, whoever they want to run. We are on a mission to rescue and save this country, and we ride or die with Donald John Trump to the end. Thank you all so much. Thank you for having my back. Let's go get him.
All right, Congressman Matt Gaetz, perhaps Donald Trump's strongest ally, more supportive ally in Congress, firing up the crowd. Back now with Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama. Good to see you, Senator. Thank you.
Leland, good to see you.
Appreciate it. I'm thinking about the General Grant line in South Carolina. There's a little bit of fire there.
Well, a little sarcasm, a little comedy. Matt's always been known to speak his words and sometimes rides the fence a little bit, but he gave a good, strong speech.
All right. Speaking of these speeches, at some point, we're hearing a lot about things that don't just appeal to the base, right? Even sort of during firebrand hour, which this is. It's two genders, it's gas prices, it's the border, it's inflation, even from people who are sort of normally strongly attacking Joe Biden. It's been dialed back significantly. I have never been at a political convention where the party that's having the convention, in this case the Republicans, want to make less news, get it over with faster, and get the attention on the other party faster.
Leland, you got to remember what we went through on Sunday, though. In mine and your lifetime, you don't see that very often.
Correct.
Assassination attempt. I think people are a little bit emotional here. I've noticed it toned down, even with the president. Talked to him since all this happened, and he's even a little bit emotional about it, and should be. You know, first when he called me on a I think Tuesday morning about 7 o'clock. He never sleeps. You know, he wanted to talk about the people that were shot behind him that took a bullet. And we forget about that. We really do, and we shouldn't, because this was a father of 2 girls, and he covered them up and took a bullet. And
we've seen the fire chief's name mentioned a number of times. Yeah. We'll see if President Trump, I would assume, is going to mention it on Thursday night. President Trump's not going to the funeral, we understand, and that makes sense just in terms of the footprint and what that brings and how it can distract. Speaking of that shooting that happened, the assassination attempt on Saturday night, we still know precious little. We know very little about the motive. I have a source that tells me the shooter had what they call a major depressive disorder diagnosis that the shooter had been diagnosed with. But the lack of information from the Secret Service only breeds this discussion and the conspiracy theories that come out. Why do you think they have been so unwilling to give a briefing not only to the Senate and the House, but to the rest of America?
Well, that's what happens in Washington, D.C. Since I've been there, Leland, for 4 years, I noticed you never get a quick response. And this should have been very obvious that the American people needed to know what went on. As much as they knew, obviously there's some things. The kid obviously had a mental health problem. But we found out today in the talk with the director of the Secret Service, Christopher Wray, the director of the FBI, that they pretty much knew 30 minutes before Trump came out on stage that there was a breach, and he still came out. They still allowed him to come out. Something went terribly wrong here.
The House Speaker has called for the resignation of the Secret Service director. Do you think the Secret Service director in her call with you understands the severity, the sort of enormous moment that we are in?
No. Has no clue.
The gravity of it did not sit in.
Well, I listened to her open statement today, and here's what she said. The assassination was a failure. Stop right there. Stop.
Wait, she actually said, those were her words?
That was her words. Assassination was a failure. Wait a minute. Wow. Your job as Secret Service director is to make sure that nobody breaches anything to where anybody puts a finger on a trigger and pulls it. Once that trigger was pulled, no matter whether anybody was killed or not, she lost. The Secret Service failed. Now, I've been around a lot of these Secret Service agents with President Trump over the years playing golf. They do a great job. They're understaffed, and they didn't have enough people there that day. It's obvious. Just come out and say it. Somebody take responsibility. But nobody in D.C. wants to take responsibility for anything.
Completely understood that no one wants to take responsibility. That's something that President Trump says he is going to bring back. I am still struck at this convention. Look, we look across reporters, commentators, senators, congressmen, everyone will tell you 2016, 2020, the Republican Party was in one way or another faction. It is not right now. This is Donald Trump's party. I think you would definitely agree with that. But this is a party that doesn't want to make news. You all want this convention to go by. You want to have a positive, unifying message and then focus things back in the media attention on what's happening with Joe Biden and the Democrats were fighting together. I just showed you a tweet in the break. Chuck Schumer reportedly now went to Joe Biden and said it's time to step down. He has COVID. He has said now in an interview that the one thing that would get him to step down is a medical condition. Should Republicans be a little worried that they might get what they want and Joe Biden may step down and whoever else comes in will be tougher to beat?
The one thing about Joe Biden, he is very, very stubborn. I've known that now for 4 years. They're not going to talk him out of this unless he gets some kind of great exit package, to where he gets a book deal and pardons and all those things. I think that's the only way that'll happen. But again, I don't think that they want anything to do with this. I think they want to stay in this. He thinks he beat President Trump once. He thinks he can do it again. But at the end of the day, I don't think Chuck Schumer is going to have any say-so over Joe Biden.
I'll ask it in a little bit different way. The polling that came out this morning, it's telling that the political news right now dominating the headlines is Democrats, not Republicans. Republicans are being disciplined in a way that they've not been disciplined in 10 years. Republicans are being smart. You're talking about the issues that people care about. But every other Democrat, Kamala Harris, Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, they all do better against Donald Trump than Joe Biden does. Should Republicans be concerned that Joe Biden might step down?
Well, I think that would be a concern, but I think President Trump would beat any of those people. I think it might be a little bit harder, but it would give them a fresh face and something else to talk about. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. But as you just said, it's not about his age. It's not about his health. It's not about the corruption and all those things. It's end of the day, it's about can he win and can he beat Donald Trump? And right now we're seeing the polls go just crazy. But, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of water underneath the bridge between now and then.
Yeah, and you can imagine all the things that have changed in the past 2.5 weeks. Senator,
thank you.
Appreciate your time, sir. Thank you very much. Coming to the stage in just a couple of minutes is something that I don't think has ever happened at a political convention. A speaker will come directly from jail, not to jail, but directly from jail to the stage of one of the major parties' political convention. That speech, why it matters, and what it says about really whether President Trump has changed when we come back. Unusual opening line to a convention speech just happened. Peter Navarro saying, I just came from federal prison. He was there for 4 months as it relates to not cooperating with Congress over the January 6th investigations. He got a rousing standing ovation welcome from the crowd, and we'll listen in now.
I violate executive privilege. What did I do? I refused. The J6 committee demanded that I betray Donald John Trump to save my own skin. I refused. Here's the thing about the Constitution. They demanded that I break the law because they have no respect for it. I refused. And a Democrat majority in the House then voted to hold me in contempt. All right, what happened next? The next jackboot to drop was the executive branch. Another one of your favorite Democrats, Democrat Attorney General Merrick Garland. There's a winner. Him and Jack Smith indicted and prosecuted me for criminal contempt of Congress. Now, here's what's weird about it. It's something that Democrat prosecutors refused to do against one of their own, including two guys with blood on their hands, Eric Holder and Alejandro Mayorkas, the great border czar, right? They've actually gotten people killed. For decades, the Department of Injustice right now, the Department of Justice policy stated, hear me out on this, if Congress slaps a subpoena on a senior White House advisor like me, the advisor's duty is to politely tell them to go pound sand. That's exactly what I did. So far we got two branches, legislative and executive. The judicial branch delivered the final blow. Just as, here's another favorite of yours, just as Democrat Judge Juan Marchand, you know this guy, did to Donald John Trump in his Manhattan kangaroo court, another Democrat judge, a guy named Ahmed Maida, keep your eye on this guy, Ahmed Maida, Obama appointee, they stripped me of every possible defense, and then what? Just like in Manhattan with Donald Trump, they threw me to the wolves of an anti-Trump jury. And where? The D.C. swamp. They convicted me. They jailed me. Guess what? They did not break me. And they will never break Donald Trump. They will never break Donald Trump. All right, now here's the most important thing I'm going to tell you. You may be thinking this couldn't happen to you. Make no mistake, they're already coming for you. Joe and Kamala, they threw out the woke blue carpet across the Rio Grande, opened our borders to what? Murderers and rapists. When Donald Trump said it, thank you for saying that, when Donald Trump said murderers, rapists in 2016, they go, oh, racist, whatever. We read the papers. It's murderers and rapists. Murderers and rapists, drug cartels, human traffickers, terrorists, Chinese spies, and a whole army of illiterate illegal aliens stealing the jobs of black, brown, and blue-collar Americans. They put them right on your front doorstep. Now, here's another thing Joe Biden did. You got to love this. The green new scam. We're in the heart here in Milwaukee, around all this. This is where the auto industry, that new scam is destroying our industry, leaving us at the mercy of the battery factories in Shanghai and slave labor in the Congo. Biden inflation. You're going to hear a lot of this because it's so friggin' true. Biden inflation is coming after what's left of your savings and eating your wages. And the Democrats, here's the thing. I'm sitting in prison thinking about this. It just eats at me as the Democrats come for your kids. They're indoctrinating them with poisonous attitudes on race and gender. And here's the thing, when politics fails, the investigations and prosecutions begin. They did it to me. They're going to do it to Trump. But hear me out. They've also done it to Catholics, pro-life activists, and parents who are just standing up for the kids at school board meetings. This is a tale of two Americas, and you know it wasn't this way when Donald Trump was president. I remember the days I was there. In Trump's America, you were safe and our borders were secure. In Trump's America, you were more prosperous and you didn't have to choose between what? Food on the table, medicine in the cabinet, and a roof over your head. And in Trump's America, you didn't have to worry about being locked up for disagreeing with the government. I went to prison so you won't have to. I am your wake-up call. All right, this is where I'm going to have fun now, because I'm going to leave you now with the last three words my beautiful fiancé said when I left that morning for prison. They weren't, "I love you." That was a given. She simply said, "We got this. We got this." That's what my girl out now. That's what these lawfare jackals don't understand. When they put people like me in prison and fire figurative and now literal bullets at Donald Trump, they also assault our families. On Election Day, America will hold these lawfare jackals accountable. Now, here's the sweetest thing that's going to come off my lips. Vote Trump Vance. 24 for Trump, 47. I'm Peter Navarro. I went to prison, so you won't have to. This is my beautiful girl. She did the time with me. That's what these friggin' Democrats don't understand. They do this to our families. She's my girl. Yeah. I love you. Let's win. Do not let up. Do not let up. Pedal to the metal till November.
Peter Navarro back from prison to the Republican National Convention. A rousing welcome for him, standing ovation. And that's a theme you are going to hear over the past couple of days, the next couple of days, I should say, about those who go after Donald Trump rather than going after you, the voter. When we come back, how the North Carolina frat boys made it from protecting the American flag at Chapel Hill to here in Milwaukee. President Biden now with COVID, saying he's canceling his campaign stops and heading back to Delaware to isolate, just tweeting out, "I'm sick." That news making its way around the Republican National Convention here. Back now with NewsNation contributor, former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. Mick, I said this to Senator Tuberville. I have never been at a political convention before. I've covered a lot of them, where the group here would like nothing more than a headline to be Republicans unify, talk about issues, make no news, and focus everybody back come Friday on Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's an amazing change in just the last, 30 days? We tried to get President Trump to do this back in 2020. He said, look, Mr. President, you get out of your own way, you're going to win re-election. And he had that disastrous first debate when he kept interrupting Joe Biden. Something is different now. It really is. I talked to folks on the floor that came out here with him in the airplane. They said he's a changed man since Saturday. Be curious to see if that flows through now to the rest of this convention.
All right, so that speech tomorrow night, we're told, is going to be a lot about unity. There's not going to be near as much fire and brimstone. You were in Congress. How is it now that Republicans are actually, dare I say, being smart in contrast to Democrats who are in complete disarray? It's a flip over the past 10 years.
It is. It's just a weird summer, right? We were talking about this off the air. We'd never seen a summer like this before. So, yeah, ordinarily we're the ones who shoot ourselves in the foot and can't get on the same page, and it seems to be happening to the Democrats. Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of people. I enjoy my Democrat friends calling me up and saying, how do you guys handle this when you've done this the last 40 years?
Well, you got some advice to give him, Nick. Thank you very, very much.
Good to see you.
Nobody understands better that so much of the political war is really a culture war. An unbelievable pick for guests at the Republican National Convention. On this stage, before they're on the stage, they're on this set. We'll be back in a minute with them. So much of the Republican platform now is changing into trying to find things that 70-80% of America agree on. Illegal immigrants shouldn't vote. There's men and there is women, and the American flag shouldn't touch the ground. Video from the University of North Carolina a couple of months ago during the pro-Hamas protests. And a bunch of fraternity boys got famous because they protected the flag. A couple of them are here with us now. They're going to be on stage tonight. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Thank you. Ken, and start with you. What were you thinking when this was happening, and how do you get your mind around a couple of months later being on the stage of the Republican National Convention?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of a shock. You don't really think that it's actually going to happen when it does happen. And You know, in the moment, I was really thinking about my godfather, who had served 20 years in the Air Force, and I attended his retirement ceremony a few years ago. And I was just thinking how I have the utmost respect for him and his service, and I don't want to see my flag disrespected like that. We didn't really do any of this with the intention of coming here or doing something, getting anything out of it, really.
No, it was amazing. And then all of a sudden there was $500,000 raised for a huge party. We had talked to John Rich earlier today. He's going to be out there for Flagstock singing for you guys at this party. Alex Johnson with us now. Alex, what I thought was most interesting about this is that you didn't fight back. You weren't screaming things at the pro-Palestinian protesters. You weren't doing anything. It was a sort of silent defiance, and I think that is what captured everyone's imagination. How are you going to talk about that on stage?
So I have my remarks planned for later this evening, but I think the biggest thing that everybody should take away from this is that it is foolish to not be patriotic and proud of your nation. That doesn't mean you should just blindly follow and not be critical of it. If you love something, you should be critical of it. So I think, being able to respect the symbol of the nation, which gives you the right to protest, is critical for any American.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you. Thank you. Good luck tonight on stage. We're following you guys an interview with John Rich about Flagstock coming up in the next couple of days. And you think about how the arc of this convention has changed from the debate a couple of weeks ago, obviously, to President Trump's assassination attempt, and now the news that Joe Biden has COVID. There has never been a Republican National Convention like this since perhaps 1968. And now we have J.D. Vance to introduce himself to the country. Our coverage continues with my friends in New York.
We're already chitty-chatting because this is exciting stuff. I'm Chris Cuomo, night 3 of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. We're here in New York. Got Dan Abrams, Elizabeth Vargas, NewsNation political editor, host of The Hill Sunday, Chris Stirewalt. I don't know why he gets longer introductions than the rest of us, but at least you see where our priority is. We also have our chief Washington anchor, Leland Vittert. You just saw him. He's at the convention. We'll be checking in with him throughout the show and whenever he wants. Plus, we have the host of NewsNation Now, Connell McShane, with us, the man at the